blue collar households, everybody, you guys get the joke on this, right? You all understand the value and fulfillment that come from a career in the trades.
Oh
You
man.
understand that just because you learn a trade, therefore have a skill that you can use to fund your life forever. By the way, you'll never suffer for work. Doesn't mean you have to do that forever. We talk to
Correct.
people all the time that come in from the field or off the job site, they go into management. There's no better career path to small business ownership or entrepreneurial
Mhm.
success than entering in the skilled trades.
That is Mr. Christopher Brenchley with Rock the Trades. He's been out there evangelizing for trades, for careers in the trades, and he's been highlighting several men and women as rockers. And you'll be able to see his social media postings on like Instagram and LinkedIn. And they're, I'm a little jealous. I wish I was on one of them. Great stuff, though. I mean, it totally uplifts the people that are doing the work that we recognize to be trade work. He and I get into some pretty deep discussion around the complex problem that is this skilled trades shortage. He points out that it's multi-generational. We're talk about transfer of knowledge, formal and informal, mentorship, educators at CTE programs, the stress and conflict that parents experience when they're in support of their children starting a blue collar trade, which leads to him describing his vision of white collar parents celebrating their children beginning a blue collar career. And when you talk about like a marker or a line in the sand to work towards, that's a pretty significant one. And I think with all the L&M family out there, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's not forget to give a shout out to our patrons that have been supporting and contributing to the show to keep us commercial free. And of course, we're going to shout out the L&M family members that have been pitching in, contributing some dollars into this effort, helping us stay commercial free. And we invite the rest of you listeners out there to hit us up at learningsandmissteps.com. You can sign up for the mailing list where we'll send out some cool stuff once a month. I promise not to harass you too much. Or head on over to the Become a Member button, click on that bad boy, and become a patron. We'd appreciate any and all the support that you give us. And here we go. What's going on, L&M family? Here we are with Mr. Christopher Brenchley, also known as CB. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Jesse. Happy Saturday. It's good to be on with you.
Oh man, it's amazing the power of social media. For a long time I treated it more like a slacking, goofing off type of thing, and now all of a sudden, it's become a powerful source to connect with amazing people. And you and I got connected. We have a kindred spirit around having an impact on the trades out there in the industry. So,
Yeah,
what do you?
no question. I mean, it's such an important topic. I'm glad we're talking about it today.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So you're in the industry now with Shorehand and Rock the Trades, and y'all are making big giant waves. I mean, I've seen Shannon Tomusco, Darcy, several other people that you're highlighting. Barbie, the welder, who we just interviewed. Um, you seem to be doing a lot to highlight and elevate and celebrate those individuals. How did that whole idea come to pass?
Yeah, it's a great question, and and as I said, it's such an important topic for us all to consider out there. But Rock the Trades was really born out of the work we were already doing with Surehand, and just simply, for your audience, Surehand. The way to think about it is Match.com for industrial employment. So we use big tech to give industrial employers across energy, manufacturing, construction a faster, more cost-effective way to find best fit skilled trades talent, semi-skilled industrial labor. You get the idea. So
Mm-hmm.
we're up here in Silicon Valley, doing our thing. And we stood that company up in 2018. We're doing our thing, and along comes 2020, right?
Oh yeah.
And we were serving the oil and gas industry initially. That was our beachhead market. Actually serving in a very unknown sort of trade called non-destructive testing, industrial inspection. It's probably one of the most pervasive trades that I know of that no one has ever heard of. So
Yep.
it's a tremendous career path if you're interested in an interesting career in the trades that has a big impact on our world. Have a look at non-destructive testing and industrial inspection. But anyway, so at the beginning of 2020, oil and gas was taking it on the chin from the oil price wars that were going on, and then here comes the pandemic, right? And it's affected all of us in many ways, too many, frankly. But
Yeah.
one of the impacts that it had on our business was in the oil and gas sector. Because of that downturn, um, demand dropped, right? Prices
Mm.
fell. Oil and gas went negative for a bit, right? Crazy stuff. So anyway, it forced us. We went through this sort of very existential moment as a business, and it kind of led to two things. One, it accelerated our expansion into the manufacturing sector, which we did as we came out of going into last year. But the other thing that it did is that, these moments will sort of push you, they're a good forcing function. And we looked
Mm.
at the business, we looked at the world that we were serving and the space we were playing in. And I realized that, for the thousands of industry conversations we'd had since 2018, so, all the industry stakeholders, employers, industry associations, trade schools, tradespeople themselves, it became very clear to us that as good as the work we're doing, connecting work with workers and the other way around is, we're going to keep doing that. The bigger problem actually sat at the top of the talent pipeline in the skilled
Mm.
trades, and that there just weren't enough people out there getting excited about, enthusiastic for, and embarking upon careers in the
Yeah.
skilled trades. And we realized we had, frankly, an existential need or imperative to go after that issue. And that was really the genesis of the Rock the Trades initiative, which we just stood up, less than a year ago. And we've just had
Wow.
so much positive momentum since then.
Man, the videos, that like the thing that really captures my attention in terms of just kind of visual uh, pleasure, but also like the potential impact that it can have on drawing youth in, or not just youth, anybody into
Yeah.
the industry. The videos of the folks like doing the dumb work, like it's powerful, and it's in, like it's sexy. It comes across as, man, that's exciting, because it really is. I mean, I came up as a plumber, and uh even now when I go speak, or it's been a while since I've done it, but when I get to like go to speak at a career day, um, sometimes, because I'm a trades professional, or was a trades professional, that trade gets bumped down from fifth grade down to like first grade, because, the fancy people with the um, high status jobs get fifth graders. And a counselor would usually ask us, like, Jess, like, getting down to first grade, is that okay? I'm like, absolutely, because my slideshow is the same for every grade. And what I'm going to be showing is people working with the torch, people working in dirt, people working with water, people working on heights, and people operating machines. Like, it don't matter what age you are, I'm going to be able to connect with your students. And so it was very kind of low tech, but the product that y'all are putting out there is like, man, it's flashy, and it's going to have an impact. What kind of response have y'all received regarding those videos and the marketing you're doing about the people that are doing the work?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I agree with you 100%. By the way, that early imprinting and consistent imprinting of the value and fulfillment, and frankly, financial reward,
Hmm.
whatever that means to you, are very real in the skilled trades. And I would just, before answering your question, I mean, one thing I like to say, and I'm super mindful of every single day, is there's no white collar world without blue collar workers.
Mm.
This web conference we're on isn't happening with folks pulling fiber along the railroad tracks, or maintaining cell towers, or working in a manufacturing plant building laptops and cameras and microphones. And so, like, I don't care what line of work you're in, blue collar, white collar, everything in between. When you drive into the office, or you drive to the grocery store, or you're going out to the movie theater, doing anything with your friends, family, coworkers, just take a minute to be mindful of the tens of thousands of blue collar workers and skilled tradespeople that makes our daily lives possible, right? And so, you talked about social media, you talked about video. We've got two goals with Surehand and Rock the Trades. One is reducing industrial labor shortages. I'll spare you all the economic
Right.
data. You've seen them. You've seen the same reports I have. And I think it's like you look at every other day, I see another article, another news media piece across the spectrum, right? In terms of media landscape around the frankly near crisis mode we're hitting with the lack of skilled tradespeople. And it's happening at the same time that there's tremendous interest and investment going into our nation's infrastructure and shoring that up. And
Hmm.
it's good if you got the money to do the work, but if you don't have the folks to do it, you got a problem, right?
Exactly.
It sort of breaks my brain a little bit. So you asked about sort of momentum and response. I'll tell you, I've been doing, if you look at kind of my career path, and I'm a white collar guy, I worked for a painting contractor in my early 20s. You'd have to ask him. I don't think I was particularly skilled, but you know, I was a white collar guy from the beginning in the sense that my interests and ambitions in high school were to go into marketing and business. Like that's what I wanted to do, right? So for me, a college education made a lot of sense, right? It was the right
Yes.
fit for me based on where I was and where I wanted to go. And for us with Rock the Trades and our kind of broader mission, we're gonna find ourselves successful. We do two things. If we or as we raise awareness of the skilled trades as fulfilling and financially rewarding career paths, and empower those who choose to embark on those journeys in a variety of ways. Right, those are sort of the two outcomes we're driving. But to me, it all, and I'll tell you, having done this for like 30 years, this kind of disruption and digital and, the
Hmm.
world I've been playing in, usually you'll go out with a new product or service or idea and you'll be out there talking to the world. And a good percentage of them will like look at you cross-eyed and be like, this makes no sense. This is never going to work. We don't need this. You're wasting your time. All the haters, right? Or
Yep.
naysayers or whatever.
Yep.
And, oftentimes, a lot too often, they probably end up being right in the end. You
Yeah.
never know until you go on the journey. But in this case, I will tell you that, as you think about industry stakeholders, right, folks that are in the, federal, state, local government, you think about employers, brands who serve the blue collar world, sell their products and services to that world, industry associations like American Welding Society, American Society for Non-Destructive Testing, NCCER, the gazillion of
Hmm.
those, labor unions, trade schools, community colleges, is that we've engaged stakeholders with the Rock the Trades mission and message. I swear to you, there's not been a single person that said those things. There's just tremendous, like people lean in
Yep.
almost immediately because when you really pull back on the problem that we're talking about, because you start thinking, well, what's causing all this, right?
Yep.
Well, why is there a shortage in the trades? You talked a little bit about it, where it's so much about getting awareness, that early imprinting, making these jobs look sexy, not dirty, right? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, but to me, again, it's about the value and necessity of them that's so important. But we've just had so much positive energy. And I think one of the best ways to sort of underscore that is we launched our Rock the Trade Scholarship Program, part of our empowerment element of the initiative. And we seed funded that as Surehand. We did $10,000 in grants last fall to 4 individuals
Nice.
to apply to spring programs. So very modest, right? When you look at
Yeah.
American Welding Society, I think it's going to give out $2 million this year, which is also fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, but our goal for 2022 was to 10x that commitment, working with partners and individual and organizational donors, and we're already at 80% of that goal.
Whew.
Right. So, this is where I think just in that one part of what we're doing, tremendous traction, tremendous energy. And then you combine that with our growing following on social media, adding new rocker influencers like Barbie
Yeah.
to our rocker wall every day. And Shannon Tomosco's like the Lady Volts was our
Yep.
latest addition. But yeah, just lots of positive energy and momentum around the initiative.
Yeah. The energy and momentum. It's on one hand, it's like overwhelming. Um, and on the other hand, it's like, well, it's about damn time. About 5 years ago, Wesley Baker, he was my boss at the time, asked me like, Jess, what do you want to do? Like when you grow up? I'm like, I got to think about that.
I'm still
And
trying to figure that out, by the way.
exactly. And where I landed was what I want to do, where I see myself is speaking to educators, parents, and students about careers in the trades. Like, I don't even know what that's going to look like. I don't know how in the world I'm going to get there, but that's what I see. That's what's calling to me. Um, And similar to the Rock the Trades like Genesis, it happened. What really triggered and flipped that switch was the lockdowns, right? At the time I was traveling a whole bunch, and I got told, go sit in the corner and keep your hands to yourself. And I said, well, hell, we need to start a podcast. And from that, I've connected with the Skilled Trades Alliance, which I know has
Yeah.
connected.
Adam and Mary Beth and that group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So I get to play with them, learn from them, and figure out how to contribute to the same thing that we're all working towards. Got to connect with Steve Turner with Bring
Yeah.
Back Trades. We just started live streaming some stuff. And Stephanie Brown, you mentioned the white collar, blue collar, and I love your quote. I guarantee you, we're going to have some images with that quote. You don't have white collar without the blue collar. Um, Stephanie Brown and with Intelligent Construction Opportunities, has put together some messaging and an initiative or thinking around periwinkle of opportunities, the connection between blue collar and white
Yeah.
collar. And so there's all these different perspectives, and like the problem is not as simple as some of us want to make it. It's like extremely complex. And so I'll give you an example. And actually, I would love your thoughts on this. There's scholarship programs for students that are going into trade programs and to pay for tuition, et cetera. And there's funds and grants that go to the education or to the institutions, right? What I see next, the next gap that's already there, is the gap of instructors of these trades. And we already know, it's my sentiment that educators are poorly compensated for the value that they bring to our community. And so I have a little seed in my head that's hopefully it's not a weed, another weed. Um, but I have this thought, what if I was to put together, with the support of the L&M family, some kind of scholarship, I'm going to say scholarship program, but some
Sure.
kind of grant thing to celebrate and honor those instructors out there, so that we give them some money so they can do something for their classroom or for themselves, because we know educators sacrifice a tremendous amount of their personal time to pour into our youth. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea, Jesse. I mean, I think when you look at, when you look at the problem space, one, I agree, it's incredibly complex. This is a multi-decade, generational kind of
Hmm.
thing, right? I'm not naive enough to think we're going to solve this problem in my lifetime. I'm just not, right? And when you
Yes.
look at sort of how we got here, I'll start there, and then I'll circle back to your idea. There's sort of three drivers in my mind around this issue. The first is, you touched on it. We've got the baby boomer generation, right? The generation ahead of us. Like, I'm in my early 50s, so I'm early Gen X, right? I was never really a slacker, but anyway,
Yeah.
the I was very early on. But those folks are aging out of the workforce by roughly 2030, and they've held a disproportionately high percentage of skilled trade jobs out there. So you look at any given trade, and you look at the median age data, and in the trades, it's low to upper 40s depending on the
Yes.
trade. You look at software engineer, coders, right? It's 27, and you
Mm.
start to see, holy cow, like that gap is tremendous, and it's because for the last 30 years, as long as I've been in the workforce, and a lot of folks will tell me it's been the last half decade, there's been this relentless prevailing narrative out there that is undervalued vocational education, what's now called CTE, career
Yep.
technical education, union apprenticeships, with this college first, college degree by default mindset. And again, we're not anti-college
Right.
at Rock the Trades, but we are all about helping folks understand, A, the value of skilled trades to our society, and B, restoring parity between blue collar and white collar career
Mm.
paths, right? And so much of that starts in the classroom, that early imprinting. You probably remember, I know when I went to high school, I had wood shop, I had plastics, we
Hmm.
had auto shop. And
Yep.
again, I was on a college track, right? Like, I
Yep.
mean,
Same.
I knew early on what I was going to do, but I got exposed to making and building. And I had that, tangible, physical imprinting. That's by and large gone from the high school or the educational experience, unless you're going to a BOCES or a vocational technical
Yep.
school or program. And so I mean, I 100% agree that supporting the educational system and the educators out there. And I would also add to that, one of the things that we're centered on, and you'll see as we move through the year, we started out with job matching, right? So
Hmm.
you can go, you can go to the App Store or Google Play and download our Rock the Trades app. And, you can go find skilled trades jobs near you that, whether you're working in the trades already and have a skill, you have skills, you have experience, you create a profile, a trade specific profile, and we'll show you all the jobs like in the last 30 days that are near your zip code, right? And we scrape probably, I don't know, 100,000 jobs a month. So there's a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
out there, by the way, that are paying 2, 3 times minimum
Oh
wage.
God.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, and so again, these two sides just keep missing each other. So, but where we're moving, and it's kind of rhymes with what you're talking about, is this knowledge transfer from one generation to the next. And when
Yes.
I look at the market and I see all these baby boomers aging out of the workforce, retiring, semi-retiring, whatever the scenario is, they've got all that knowledge
Yep.
up here, right? Because by the way, everyone talks about, oh, they like working with their hands. They should go into the trades. Tradespeople use their brains. That's the
Oh
most
yeah.
ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And so you have all this institutional knowledge, right? And you've heard
Mhm.
the old saw about, I forget what it was, like the plumber. You were a plumber, right? It's the
Yep.
old joke about, guy goes fixes someone's leak in a bathroom, gives them an invoice, and it's like, I don't know, $99 in parts and like 5,000 in labor. And it's like, well, why is it? It's because I know what to do with that tool. I have that
Right.
institutional knowledge, right?
Yep.
So I think there's a huge opportunity for informal coaching and mentoring, formal coaching and mentoring to augment what's going on in the classrooms out there. Because, as you said, by and large, the schools are underfunded and the educators are overworked, and, those shop classes don't exist anymore.
Hmm.
So it's about how do we kind of restore that infrastructure. And I think a scholarship program that could, drive funds, or a grant program that could drive funds into the hands of those educators, getting tool brands like Stanley Black and Decker
Hmm.
and others. And I think they're already doing this to some degree,
Yep.
but like getting tools in classrooms or into those shop classes, supporting that, I think are tremendous opportunities to kind of reverse the flow on this.
Well, then that just means I got to get off my butt and make it happen. So, Chris, what should the L&M family know about you?
Oh man, that's a big question. I think the thing that's been most interesting for me, as I said, I spent a bit of time working in the trades. And look, honestly, I really enjoyed that experience. I took a lot from that in terms of, accountability, work ethic, and attention to detail and all that stuff that actually still serves me in my professional life. But I'd say my background, as I said, is I'm a digital evangelist. I've spent 30 years helping companies do new things fast. I live in a realm of mistakes and missteps because we're right
Mm-hmm.
out on the very edge of whatever industry or problem we're trying to affect, or problem we're trying to solve. And so there's a ton of learning that comes from that. But I would say the red thread that runs through my life has been, when I look at my career, as I said, I've been in digital forever. But I really enjoy and am focused on helping adult working professionals find success. So I started my career in ed tech, basically adult learning, corporate training, e-learning, performance support, that realm. Initially in the white collar sector, and then probably in the 2010s moved into the blue collar sector. But that's like my work jam. Like I live to help people. I'm a big fan of servant leadership, both with my teams and crews and but everyone that's out there. I mean, I think we've all got I think as humans, I think we have
Yeah.
an imperative to help lift one another up, whatever that means, right? And
Yes.
so that's kind of how I roll. I'd like to say that my personal mission is to prove out that nice guys can finish first. It's not always the case,
Yeah.
and so I try to bring, I just try to be a nice, decent human as a person.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would leave with the audience. I think what's most interesting though, and I think it's super important for what we're doing with Rock the Trades is, blue collar households. Everybody, you guys get the joke on this, right? You all understand the value and fulfillment that come from a career in the trades.
Oh
You
man.
understand that just because you learn a trade, therefore have a skill that you can use to fund your life forever. By the way, you'll never suffer for work. Doesn't mean you have to do that forever. We talk to
Correct.
people all the time that come in from the field or off the job site. They go into management. There's no better career path to small business ownership or entrepreneurial
Hmm.
success than entering in the skilled trades. These are not like binary yes no decisions for folks. So blue collar people already get this. To me, it's about expanding these messages and these and pushing back on any misperceptions that are out there to an all collar audience, blue collar, white collar, and everybody in between. And one of the inspirations for me was like you during the pandemic, and we had the good fortune to be able to do what we do sitting in the corner,
Yep.
connected to the internet. That wasn't true for too many, like a lot of the essential workers out there, right?
100%.
And I guess for me, what I started to realize is I looked at my own social media feeds, and arguably, I got friends across all political perspectives. I got friends across blue collar, white collar, but I would say by and large, my bubble is probably a white collar bubble.
Okay.
And when you go out on Facebook and social media, and you see all these parents and families wildly celebrating their kids getting into like Stanford or Harvard, University of Delaware, or Texas Tech or whatever. I want to see those same families doing the same thing when their kid gets into American Welding Academy or getting into the UAJATC apprenticeship program. When we
Yep.
start to see that, that's when if you want to know how I roll, what motivates me, like that's what I want to see. Because
Yeah.
to me, unless we really bring new and perhaps unexpected entrants into these industries, we're not going to increase the pool of talent
Yep.
that's serving across energy manufacturing construction. So long answer to short question, but that's
Beautiful
me and
answer.
that's how I roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with Miss Kim White, who is one of my coaches. And by the way, L&M family, get you some coaches. It's amazing. It's transformational. And she pointed out the struggle or the pain that she had to deal with, or maybe conflict that she had to deal with as a parent, supporting her son making a move into the trades. And that's another, like, again, the complexity of the problem is to your point, right? Yeah, we want them to celebrate. We want to see these big giant parties. We want to see all of that around people youth making decision to come into the industry. Uh, um, but there is a conflict that those parents have to deal with. Also, the haters that are going to say, "What are you doing? Like, don't you expect more? And aren't you worried?" Like this sort of thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, listen, it's at the core of what we're striking at with Rock the Trades. I mean, that stigma is driven by a few things in my view. One is, again, that relentless prevailing narrative. We've just been sort of, as a society, again, over the last 3 to 5 decades, we've just bought into this whole thing like, hey, if you want to be successful in life and find fulfillment, just go to college. You go in undeclared, figure it out as you go. You spend 4 years, probably five, right? These
Right,
days.
right.
The bulk of people that start college, by the way, I think it's like it's north of 50%, don't even graduate. As they're going through that, they're taking on, or their parents are taking on, student loan debt burden. That's a lifetime debt burden. We're approaching like $2 trillion in outstanding student loan debt
Ooh,
out
baby.
there. And some 35% of it is held by the Gen X generation, which means you're now paying for that debt for your entire career. And then the kicker to me is I just read a study from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York that they did a study of recent college graduates. Like in that cohort, upwards of 40% of those graduates got a job or entered a field where they didn't even need that degree, right? So
Oh,
they're taking 4 or 5 years in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s, taking on a lot of debt to do something to waste time and money that they didn't need to. And then I compare that to, Janie decides to go get, if she's fortunate enough to get accepted in the IBEW electrical apprenticeship program, she'll do 5 years. She'll earn while she learns to become a journeyman electrician. But she's going to be set when she comes out, right? And
oh
so
yeah.
you can look at the data around earnings potential over a lifetime or a career lifespan, comparing white and blue collar trades. Like for me, I got the ROI I wanted from
Hmm.
my college education because again, it aligned with my interests and ambitions. I had for 17-year-old, I had a pretty clear idea of what I wanted to do. And but not everybody becomes a tech company CEO, right? Or a
Right.
neurosurgeon or a top litigator. You do that, you're going to bust your hump to get there past college, but you're going to get the return on investment, tenfold or more.
Yep.
But that's not true for everybody. So again, I think it comes back to this idea that, college is not the best fit starting point for everybody. And all of these blue collar career paths are out there where you can make, certainly high five figures, low six figures. And as you get your journeyman card and you are a plumber, you are an electrician. I mean, everybody knows this in the sense they just don't think about it, which is
Right.
the next time you need someone to come out and work on your air conditioner or work on your plumbing or work on your home's electrical box or panel, and you get that invoice and you get that bill, just think about it, right? And you think about like, oh, okay, this guy's or this gal's doing pretty well, I would bet, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so these are some of the things we're just trying to push back on is information is power. And there's just a lack of understanding around the skilled trades, how much money people can make, the quality of life and work-life
Mm-hmm.
balance elements of it. Like you can leave your work at the job site or in the field. I'm not saying some of that doesn't carry over and there aren't
Right.
challenges in the skilled trades. I mean, every profession has its downsides,
Yep.
but technology, safety, all these things are impacting the industry. The industries we're serving are making those jobs safer,
Yes.
cleaner, higher tech. Like they're getting really sexy from where I
Oh yeah.
sit. And so as a parent, I think, I know Steve does a lot of work with Bring Back the Trades to really educate parents, to really make sure that these career paths are being pushed with by guidance counselors.
Yep.
For example, let's make these first choice career paths, not
Yes.
fallback career paths only for those who are deemed like, oh, well, they can't hack college or they're only suited to work with their hands, which as I said is the worst
Yep.
expression I can think of. It's not a positive, it's a negative. So it's about words, it's about messaging. And again, I think for us, Rock the Trades is about really creating that rallying cry,
Mm-hmm.
that call to action out there, just like a Just Say No to Drugs
Right.
or, any of the social impact memes and initiatives that have come up in the last decade that have been incredibly powerful expressions. That doesn't exist in the skilled trades today. And I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do. We've created this open source initiative or brand with Rock the Trades where Surehand stood it up. But the same way we're bringing in rocker influencers into the mission, we're doing the same thing on the organizational level.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone from all the entities I talked about earlier, because they're the ones that have not just the stakes in the game, but they've got significant resources and reach to leverage. So now imagine a big tent in Rock the Trades where we've got all these influencers and we're adding a couple a month. I mean, we could add one a week just by the
Yeah.
interest that's coming in. And we have more and more organizations coming to us, contributing to the scholarship. How can I help? How do we rock the trades? And so
Mm-hmm.
the vision for it is to really, get to signal so that we can amplify this issue and this message and give those white collar parents something that they can point to and be excited about, either direct their kids there or folks are separating from the military and re-entering or entering civilian career path. Really just show these opportunities out there for the great career paths they are. So I think celebrating, honoring, informing, all these things are so important to help give those parents that do have a child that wants to, they could probably get into school or
Oh yeah.
college. But they don't want to.
Right.
That's the
Yeah,
key. They
that's the
don't want
thing.
to.
My story parallels to yours, except I'd said I'm gonna go work in the trades. For me, the thing was I stepped foot on a job site and I was supposed to work for the summer to make some money to have some
Sure.
cash to go to school. And I was like, oh my, like where has this been all my life? And what I know now, I couldn't frame it back then, was the environment of a job site was the prime environment for me to learn, grow, and develop. The classroom was an environment that suffocated me and that I would always get in trouble in. So it was not a joyful experience. And so you nailed it. That's the thing. We learn differently, and we need to put our youth in the environments that help them grow and develop. And then and this the thing you talked about, right? There's earning, there's debt, there's all these things. The thing that we also need to be messaging, which I think you're doing, is the fulfillment, the quality of life and the fulfillment that you can get from at the end of the day, working in a mechanical room, installing mixing valves, water heaters, expansion tanks, all the good stuff, and look at it and say, I did that today. Like there's something about that
Oh, we
that people don't know.
and you know this, man. We
Yep.
meet so many deliriously happy people
Yep.
in the trades. You know, we go out to industry conferences and stuff like that. And I have conversations, you know, across the trade spectrum. And you know, I meet more happy people than
Yep.
unhappy people. And I will tell you, you know, having been a white collar warrior for 30 some years,
Yeah.
it's not all it's you know cracked up to be here in the white collar world, right? I'm not
Hmm.
complaining, but what I'm saying is like, especially in big tech, right? Silicon Valley has become this, you know, the big jobs, the status, prestige jobs are tech startups or big tech companies. And again, there's nothing wrong with those companies and things like that. Or I'm not bringing those companies down.
Right.
But you know, the reality is there's a lot of downsides
Yeah.
to the white collar career path. Like you said, you don't finish every day with a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment and getting something done. I did this today. It's not always the case. You don't get to leave your work at home. The pressure to work 80, 100-hour weeks in some cases is
Oh yeah.
real. You know, burnout is
Oh
real.
yeah.
Work-life balance issues are real. And again, I'm not saying there's no issues in a blue collar trade career. I mean, there's issues everywhere. But
Yep.
like, let's not pretend that this white collar career path is some, you know, this ideal that just completely should overshadow folks thinking about going into the trades as a first choice
Yeah.
career path.
Totally. So you're a digital evangelist, white, self-proclaimed white collar person, professional,
Yeah,
that
professional.
is completely dedicated to enhancing, celebrating, and making careers in the trades a first choice option. Like, did you write that in a journal back when you were sixth or seventh grade and just took the steps to make that happen? Or did you have another idea of what you wanted to do
No,
back then?
no, I would be disingenuous if I said that. The one thing I will say is, you know, career-wise, I'm a white collar
Yeah,
professional, right? Like I don't claim to, you know, I didn't come up the way you came up in terms of learning a trade, you know, other
yeah.
than my time in my late teens, early 20s, working for a residential house painter. And I was okay, but like I said, I wasn't very skilled. Um, you know, like I said, the red thread for me was about helping, you know, working adults find
Mm,
fulfillment and success. So that's sort of been the red thread for me
yep,
throughout my journey. I got into the skilled trades professionally in a meaningful way, like serving them as
yep.
part of the Surehand mission. So back in 2018, um, we essentially joined as team lead what's called an incubation cycle up here, funded by Stanley Black and Decker, the good folks that put tools on shelves of your favorite hardware store.
Oh yeah.
Because their mission is really for those who make the world, right? So everyone from the DIYers, the weekend warriors, to the professional tradespeople, you know, they're very sort of, I would consider a very progressive organization as it relates to workforce development, diversity and inclusion, corporate social responsibility. So yes, they're a big Fortune 250 global company, but they've got a real soul. Like, and I've seen it, you know, firsthand, being with them being our investors, right? So that's how I got into really in a meaningful way the blue collar realm.
Hmm.
And as I said, as I started out helping folks skill up, support their productivity and performance on the job and kind of the more of the white collar world, moving into sort of more of an HR tech play, right? Connecting work with workers and vice versa. And the blue collar trades was a really nice extension of the work I'd been doing on the ed tech side.
Mm,
But it also harkened back, like I love to wrench on cars, right? Like I'm a car junkie.
yep.
And so, you know, I've had collector cars, they're kind of beaters. They were nothing, no crazy nice cars. But like, you know, my weekend, you know, garage queen weekend type project cars. And so I'm mechanically inclined. Like
Yep.
I like to work with my hands, right? But I would think back to my grandfather who worked in the textile industry, worked
Mm,
on in the factory floor, you know, and he had a big house on a hill, was a pillar in his community, right? You go back to the 1950s.
yeah.
And I started thinking, like, where did that go? Like, how did that happen?
How did that disappear?
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
to me, that's really kind of what I bring to my everyday. And you know, again, I think when you look at problems out there that are being solved, in
Mhm.
whatever the problem space, whoever's doing the solving. A big part of doing that is coming into that challenge with what's called a beginner's mindset.
Oh,
We all have our
beautiful.
own biases, we all have our own experiences, and what's really, really difficult, particularly, I look at myself. I'm in the, I'll call it my third act, let's say, right?
Okay.
Professionally. And so, I've been around the block, right? And so
Yep.
I can bring, like, on the one hand, I have experience and perspective, hard won, hard fought, as you're learning in missteps. Like, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
game. There's no success without failure, friends. Like, it's just not possible. Um, but like, to me, it is this idea that, when you come into those problem spaces with a beginner's mindset, you look at it differently. There is
Mhm.
no sort of these, sunk fallacies or ways of thinking. So I find what's really interesting is when we start talking to people about rock the trades, I get this question like, well, why are you solving this problem? You didn't come from the trades. Like, you're not, that's not your
Mm.
land
Mhm.
or your background. I don't think it matters. I
Right.
think what you need to do is surround yourself with people and perspectives that have had that experience and that are, boots on the ground, quite literally, right? And that's why it's so important, as a tech startup trying to solve a problem out there, is you have to get out of the building with your beginner mindset, right? Like,
Yes.
those are the two.
100%.
So anyway, I think those two things are just so important when you're trying to solve any problem out there. It's just think with a beginner's mind. Anything's on the table. And then second, just get out of the building. Go engage the community you're trying to help or the folks you're trying to help. You'd be amazed what you learn.
Oh man, the space or the second act that I'm in my career has been around lean construction, lean problem
Sure.
solving, etc. And those two things that you just said, they're universal. Begin Approach with a beginner's mindset. Like, you want to get people to listen and jump on board and appreciate the value you're attempting to bring. Come at them with the beginner's mindset. You come in with that expert attitude, you ain't getting nowhere with nobody. Now, second thing, get off the damn chair and get out there to where the pain is being experienced. You go out there, you're going to make some magic happen. That's beautiful. Now, third act in your life, you're having tremendous impact. Sounds like you've had tremendous impact all the way. You've got to deal with some haters along the way. You've had some bad idea or some ideas that were not appreciated by everyone as much as they were appreciated by you. And so that leads to the next question. Um, what is a significant learning that you had along the way as a result of a painful misstep?
So I've got two. I got two
Ooh,
to share with you. And by the way, I probably have 2,000 in terms of how many missteps I've made. And
all right, y'all. We got a bit of a change here. Yes, I'm breaking up the flow, and that's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. But the L&M family has spoken out, and we've heard you loud and clear. What we are doing is the backstage passes, these clips that you're not going to be able to listen to on this audio version, are now going to be available to everybody on our YouTube channel. So hit up our YouTube channel, subscribe, follow, like, hit all the buttons, and give yourself a little bit of a learnings and missteps marathon and catch up on all the outtakes. We want to hear your comments and we want to know what you're learning from these things, because all of our guests have shared some pretty intimate missteps and have had some pretty profound learnings. And we hope that you can take that and apply that going forward and even teach it to your people, the people you care about. So that is going to be the deal going forward. Thank you for supporting us, and back to the show. I know I subscribed to early in my life that I got to be right all the time. And then when I discovered, like, oh, I learn better when I put myself out there and don't get paralyzed with perfection, make some damn mistakes, learn from them, adjust, and keep on trucking. And so that's the whole purpose of the question. And so, I mean, two things that stood out to me in what you shared with us was, when we're out there pitching our ideas, farming them out, socializing them, trying to figure out how people are going to respond. it's really easy to get lost in the passive. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's great. It's kind of like the American Idol syndrome, right? They show the beginning of the new series, and there's folks up there that really shouldn't be up there, but their family was telling them, "Oh, you're a fabulous singer." Like you got to go for the uncomfortable, raw, real feedback, because that's where the value is. It's not on the pats on the back. It's on the actionable, objective, maybe even harsh sometimes feedback or observations of your ideas and your thoughts that are going to really help you uh, form that into something meaningful for yourself and for others. And the other is just do it and find meaning in your work, right? Like you understand, uncover, discover what you're about, what's meaningful to you, what are the boundaries, the parameters, the purpose in one person's life, and then make all your decisions based around that. Because after I started doing that, it was gravy. Like when I became or disconnected myself from the expectations that people set on me and the expectations that I adopted and attached to myself, when I said that doesn't, I'm not happy, I don't experience joy doing those things, I'm going to do this. All of a sudden, man, I mean, you touched on it. It's like a rocket ship of fulfillment and contribution and connection. And I mean, right now I'm in a space in my life that there is, I never would have believed that I would be where I'm at now, but it's a result of having made that discovery and leaned into it, like you said. Man, this is good stuff. So that leads us to maybe the closing question. We'll see if it's actually a closing question, but what footprint do you intend to leave on the world?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've touched on a few of the things, right, that
Yep.
motivate me and get me up in the morning. And and I have to say, I want just to quickly build on what you were just talking about is, part of the tension in exploring, right, in pushing the envelope, is this sort of tension that exists between yourself being, a tireless, dedicated champion of your idea, right, all the passion, and balancing it with the intellectual honesty around the feedback you're
Mm,
getting on it, right? It's that's
yes.
where the tension is, but that's where the magic happens, right? In terms of the footprint, I mean, look, as I said, I just try to live every day by example. I think professionally as leaders, we have to again instill this idea that what, no one's right all the time. I think one of the biggest sort of misconceptions I had coming up in my career path is you'd be in your, let's say, mid 20s, and you'd see board meetings, right? Like in the corporate context, right? And you'd see the C-suiters come out of the board meeting, and they all look all knowing and all powerful and all this other stuff. Guess what? They're just like you and me, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Seriously, and nobody. And so the joke is, not the joke, but like what I learned is, as you advance in your career in the white collar world, right? You get into you advance, right? So you director, VP, maybe C-suite or whatever. As you move up, you feel like you're going to get to this place where everyone has all the answers. It just doesn't exist. It's not true.
It
Everyone's
doesn't.
trying to fight through the problems every single day. I swear to you, just like when I started, right? So one, I would love to leave your audience with that notion. Like, don't feel like someone out there has got all the answers and you don't. No one knows, right? And so I think the two biggest things for me are, as I said, look, we're in a very sort of divided, divisive sort of
Hmm.
culture right now, right? Across so many different planes. And I think for me, my hope for us humans, right, regardless
Yep.
of where you come, because by the way, everybody gets, you do you, right? A good friend of mine
Yep.
says that all the time. You do you. That's my mantra. Like, look, you get to be how you need to be, right? Like, it's real simple. So my hope is that we can find our way to be a lot more compassionate, a lot more empathetic, and just really care for one another a lot more than I think we've been able to do. And if I can lead by example and live my life professionally and personally in that regard, then I'll be happy, right?
Yep.
This idea that nice guys can finish first or have an impact and so on, I think that's important. And then lastly, like with what we're doing with Rock the Trades, I mean, I am so, as you can tell, I get so
Yeah.
and passionate about this. And there is no, the way I look at what's going on out there right now, we've talked a lot about, imprinting the youth, right?
Yep.
So grade school, middle school, high school, how do we imprint the trades positively and get them excited about, oh, I would love to do this, right? By the way, we all, I know I did. I shouldn't say we all. When I was a little kid, I played with Tonka toys out the yin yang, out in the sandbox,
Yep.
the front loaders, dump trucks, all that stuff. That was imprinting, right?
Yes.
And so, but how do you keep that going as we go through that career path discussion? But I think for me, the idea, as I said, if we can get sort of this all collar audience out there to really understand the value of the skilled trades, the hardworking men, women out there who build, operate, and maintain the world around us. Again, it's not just Surehand's imperative or Rock the Trades imperative or the L&M community's imperative. It's all of us. Like
Yep.
this world doesn't. We'd be living in caves if
Yes.
not for skilled tradespeople, right? So raising that awareness, encouraging more and more folks to enter the skilled trades, and as they do that through, the benefits of what we're putting out there with our Rock the Trades app, connecting people with jobs, connecting people with training providers, connecting tradespeople and the trades curious with one another via a community that we're going to be building upon, the momentum of this mission combined with our scholarship. I mean, again, if I can go out on my Facebook feed or Instagram feed and I see families and people from white collar households, from that echo chamber, from that bubble,
Hmm.
wildly celebrating Jimmy or Janie,
Yes.
going into the trades with as much fervor and excitement as I see these folks celebrating them going into a college or a white collar career path,
Yeah.
I think then we will know we are starting to make a difference out there. And again, I'm not naive enough to think this is a problem we can solve overnight. But every day is a great day to rock the trades. Like let's get that out there.
Every single day. So how, if somebody wanted to be a rocker or support the effort, how would they go about contacting Rock the Trades and getting themselves signed up?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is go to rockthetrades.com. I mean, that'll give you everything you need to know about what we're up to with the initiative. If you're someone who is in the trades, passionate about its survival and thriving and so on, and want to be a rocker, you can drop us a line there and just let us know. We'll reach out to you, have that conversation. Same with roadie partners, organizations. Our vision is to put rockers up on the stage as they should
Hmm.
be. I
Hmm.
do a lot of these things, and I'm kind of I guess the voice of the initiative. But really, the real stars are the tradesmen and women like Barbie the welder, like Shannon, like others that you'll find on our rocker wall. Their narratives, that those authentic journeys and experiences, those are representations that anyone considering getting into the trades can have a look at. And I think it's not just about the youth. There's a lot of mid-career folks out there right now because of the pandemic, because of the disruption that's already happening, thinking about their work and life choices out there, right? I mean, you've seen the great resignation, quit rates are
Yep.
through the roof. You see generational shifts where I can promise you Generation Z cares the why and the purpose and the mission
Oh yeah.
matters a lot more than it did to my generation. We came up during the late 80s, Gordon Gekko, Wall Street, greed is
Yes.
good. Like seriously,
Yes.
you go after the big car, the fancy house, credit cards out the yin yang, debt laden. Like the today's young generation doesn't think that way. So anyway, I think there's no better time to go after this problem. So rockthetrades.com is the best place to learn more. You can follow us on social media. We focus on Instagram and LinkedIn. As I said, if you're already working in the trades, you can go to the Google Play or Apple Store, download our free Rock the Trades app. If you're looking for work or trying to increase your earnings potential, we connect you with job opportunities. And as we move through the first half of this year, we're expanding that feature set to, again, not just connect folks with job opportunities, but folks that are trying to skill up with all the training opportunities that are out there in the skilled trades. And then lastly, we believe there's a real opportunity, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback around this idea of, for all the communities and social networks that are out there, there really isn't one network dedicated to, in the same way LinkedIn is dedicated to kind of the broader workforce and professional community. There really isn't one that focuses on the skilled trades across energy, manufacturing, construction. So we're also focused on connecting peer to peer, trade tips, trade tools, ideas, techniques, all that stuff. And as I said, I think informal coaching and mentoring is a big part of that knowledge transfer equation. So we're hoping that we can have an impact there. So those are the three best places to go to rock the trades.
Perfect. We will get all that stuff in the show notes so people can scroll down and click links and sign up and support the damn mission. Chris,
Awesome.
I appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, Jesse. Thanks for having me on and helping us spread the good word.
I told you it was going to be an awesome conversation. Hit up the show notes. Check out Rock the Trades. Check out Surehand. Like, a comment, a clap, a heart. All of those things go a long way in terms of getting the message out. So please hit him up. Tag some of your friends as you interact with his posts with Rock the Trades. Let's help celebrate them rock stars out there. And now we're going to celebrate an L&M family member that dropped some feedback for us on the Apple Podcast appy thing. It appears this individual's tag name is "This podcast is spot on." So thank you. It says, "Need a lift? Listen to this. I just finished listening to the episode with Barbie the welder. Wow, what a great conversation. It made me feel like anything is possible when we change the way we talk to ourselves. Jesse is a great, welcoming host who pulls the best out of people." Man, I appreciate that big time. You know, talking about anything is possible when we change the way we talk to ourselves. I believe that 100%. I think many of us have this broken record on loop that is judging us and critiquing us in a less than positive manner. And it would serve us best to let that go. And let me help you by telling you you are amazing, you are making a difference, and you're always learning. Let that play on repeat for a few years and let's see what the outcome is. Be cool, and we'll talk at you next time. Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You've been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.